Hey everyone, welcome to the Sharecode Showcase, the series that features just some of the best new maps, liveries, and tunes from or submitted by our community. If you have any creations you'd like to suggest for the next video, whether it be your own or someone else's, jump in our Discord and add it to the Sharecode Zone channel. Now, before we get started today, I do have to say that the quality of content the Forza community has been putting out has been incredible, and each video it is getting harder and harder to narrow down to just a handful of creations. So if you do want to see more per video, let me know. Alright, now let's jump into our first map this week, the Hakone Lake Circuit, made by ZN6, which you've already been getting a peek at during the intro. This circuit takes place at the top of the volcano in Horizon's map and consists of almost an entirely custom road layout made for tight mountain pass style toge racing. Now, you may be a bit wary of this, but even though you do spend most of your time driving on the prop road surface, and it does look a bit bumpy in sections, Hakone Lake is actually very grippy and smooth to drive. The corner layouts and banks are done really well, so it has a solid flow throughout the whole map. In my time driving, my cars never got thrown off or hit weird geometry. It's all a really well-made surface. The tight bends and hairpins are split up really well with some straights and medium speed sweepers, and overall, the circuit layout is just really well thought out and fun to race. You may have even noticed ZN6 added some gutter drop-offs on the inside of some corners, and it's so satisfying watching your inside front tire drop over the edge during a power slide. I expected front or all-wheel drive builds to struggle with some understeer here, but rear front and all-wheel drive cars are all a blast. Again, the corner angles and banking are spot on and make it so that this front-wheel drive Civic doesn't feel an ounce of understeer, and can even kick the rear end out a bit to whip around some of the tighter hairpins. Now, obviously, this is a track geared for lower class vehicles. I've found A-Class to be pretty intense driving at the limit. You saw that in the intro with my GTO, while B and C-Class are more tame, yet still exciting, technical, and feel right at home on the track. Now, Hakone Lake is a real place in Japan with a view of Mount Fuji, and so being able to see the snow-capped peak of the volcano totally gives that same vibe. The aesthetic of this circuit overall is really impressive. When you're in the tight hairpins, you're surrounded by trees and lit by this warm street-like glow, but then it opens wide around the lake and you get the view of mock Mount Fuji. You fly along the straight and then dive back into the woods. I love the mood here. This is a very unique experience in Horizon 5, and I really can't find anything to criticize about it. Every aspect of the Hakone Lake circuit hits the nail on the head for me. I could see this being fully realized into a real circuit in the next motorsport game or something. I'm really impressed by it. And incredibly, there is another circuit in this video, which to me is just as cool, and it's our next feature today, Greenstone National Circuit by SS Ebisu, or Shu on Discord. Where Hakone Lake had a very custom layout, Greenstone here takes a lot of existing Horizon roads and adds onto and connects them in a phenomenal new way. What you're seeing now is actually a cinematic made by Ebisu that shows off the circuit beautifully. If you want to see their whole video, check out the link in my description. Let's switch over to a live race to show off all of Greenstone in action. This is a circuit that feels so familiar. Maybe it's because of all my time on GT7 lately, but on my first drive at Greenstone, I saw elements of Spa, Deep Forest Raceway, and more. Ebisu themselves said the track took inspiration from places like Monaco and Monza, among others. This just feels like a real racetrack. One of the more obvious details of that are these great curbs on many of the corners, which give Horizon's street roads a much stronger racetrack feel and flow. And perhaps more striking than some of the curbs on the ground is the impressive skyline. There's a whole complex here to race through, a tunnel, and even a Nissan dealership. You get these elements of a city circuit, but then it lets loose into the wild a bit, and then there's a section where you're looking down at Guanajuato in the distance. I know I said this with the previous track as well, but the mood of this circuit is awesome. It makes me really wish we could add people and crowded stands in Event Lab to give Greenstone National the life it deserves. That said, with a full grid, radio on, and the sound of distant fireworks, it all still comes together beautifully. Ebisu had mentioned that this track consists of 7,788 props in total, and was started in mid-February, just releasing at the end of March when they ran out of prop budget. But considering that, nothing feels sparse about Greenstone. This is a top-tier circuit to race on, and I love how it uses some of my favorite roads in Horizon in a way I never thought possible. Folks, the circuits are top-notch this week, and I had to exclude some really strong contenders. So if you liked what you saw, as always, make sure you check out the Sharecode Zone channel in our Discord. There is new, great content coming to Horizon every day from the players. And with that, I want to move on to our tunes and liveries. And we're going to do something a bit different this video, because a handful of creators have all kind of rallied around a specific car these past few weeks, creating a couple of great liveries and tunes for the Acura RSX. We're going to start by looking at Killer Spectre's Ing's demo car Replica tune, and KS worked with well-known livery creator Duffman, or Duff, to create a spot-on replica of the real thing. Now, a bit about the real car. Ing's is a body kit manufacturer from Japan that's been around for a while, I think about the early 2000s, and has a long history in endurance racing. Now, of course, in Japan, the RSX doesn't really exist. It's the DC5 Integra, so there are some minor differences between the in-game car and real-life demo car, but the spirit of the car is, of course, still the same. And there is a full Ing's body kit in Horizon that KS used as the obvious base for the replica. We do know some specs of the demo car, like exhaust or suspension and tires, but perhaps for the best, there is some info that was never really known to the public about the car, which let Killer Spectre build the RSX into the top of B class and make it somewhat competitive while still being faithful to what real info is out there. I absolutely love driving cars like this in Horizon. These are my main open world cruisers for when I swap over to the sim rig and chill in the open world, or check out some of the Japanese inspired event lab tracks like Hakone Lake, for example. Killer Spectre has done a handful of these rep cars, and I should mention quickly while we're on the RSX theme that they also recreated the Mugen Integra from early motorsport games, and found a matching livery by Swaitai. So if you miss driving the Type R from Motorsport 4 and want it back to cruise in, here's the sharecode for the tune and livery. KS has made a fully spec-accurate tune that sits kind of in mid-B class, but also made a top of C tune if you want something that works better in online. Now, if you're looking for something with a real competitive edge, Saeenu has you covered, having created both A and B class tunes for the RSX that drive hard. Both tunes maintain the stock engine and front-wheel drive layout, and both use the C-West body kit. B-Class and front-wheel drive are a match made in heaven, and Saeenu has done a great job of keeping the car fast in the straights, while also grippy and controllable in the corners. This RSX tune is strong, and may take the place of my previous front-wheel drive B-Class favorite, the Silica. In A-Class, front-wheel drive starts to show some cracks, but again, a wonderful job has been done here to keep the car stable through corners, and there's still some good speed to work with. Against my Golf, the RSX pulls ahead on high-speed sections and still holds on through most corners, where the Golf R usually dominates. These tunes fit right into my wheelhouse for online play, keeping things somewhat realistic and true to the feel of the real car, while also maintaining a competitive edge and maximizing performance where it's needed. And guys, before we leave for the day, I have one more thing to show off. A decal made by Ami of my HotLine logo. This is actually spot on. If you don't know already, I've got a fictional club in-game called HotLine, and I use this logo on some of my merch or for my cars in Gran Turismo, for example, as well. And being able to have this in Forza is awesome. If you want to rep the HotLine club, this is the sticker to throw on your car. And with that, we're wrapped up for the video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.